Hi, this is a video response for Brocky777. Hello, my name is Robyn Steward, I'm 21 and I have Asperger syndrome, and I'm a specialist Asperger syndrome trainer and mentor. What that means is that I go around to schools, colleges, universities, housing societies, anybody really who work with autistic people, and I give them training. I teach them about autism, and I'm also a mentor, which means that I help and support people with Asperger syndrome, and currently I specialise with young people, and the types of reasons that I get asked to mentor people are things like that a child is moving from primary school to secondary school, or that they're having problems with organisation, or they need somebody to talk to. And often when I meet people, they say to me, oh, it's like I'm in a bubble, you know, that no one understands me, and then I meet you and I have so much to say to you, which is a really nice thing to hear. So I hope that I can provide some information to everybody out there. Firstly, I think you need to know that I think other people feel the same way that you do, about, you know, that you can't find anybody that's similar to you in terms of how you view your autism and how autism affects you, because autism is a very individual disability. No two people are the same, and the way that I look at it is that autism is on top of your personality. So you still have a personality, and then you have autism on top, and sometimes autism can accentuate, you know, can make larger parts of your personality. I think I'm pretty normal. I've had boyfriends, as I say. I'm just about to finish the first year of university. I've had jobs. I'm now self-employed, and I've felt the same way. And I was often, I suppose, I wasn't scared to admit that I was autistic, but I felt, I think I felt quite uncomfortable about my autism. And then I met somebody who, I'm really into music. And my favourite band is Pink Floyd, and I have never really met anybody that's as into Pink Floyd as I am, that's listened to pretty much everything that they've done, you know, and has seen at least one David Gilmour and one Roger Waters concert, and who likes Syd Barrett, and, you know, who likes the whole spectrum of Pink Floyd stuff. And then I met a guy who has Asperger syndrome, and who comes from a reasonably similar background to me, and I stopped feeling so uncomfortable about being autistic and wanting to do certain things. And one of the things that I wanted to do was sit down and write and play music, because I play guitar and I play piano and I sing and I write songs. And I decided that what I really wanted to do in my life was to take a gap year and to have plenty of free time to write songs and music, and also to do things like a counselling qualification and do things that would help me to be a better trainer and a better mentor. And now I'm about to start an 18-month gap year. I know that sounds weird, having an 18-month gap year, but in terms of timing, because university lets out at the beginning of May, it becomes 18 months. But nonetheless, I'm taking some time out to build up my business and also to do some qualifications and write music. And I would have never have done that, because my autism and creativity are very closely related, and that goes back to what I was saying about autism being part of your personality, autism being on top of your personality. And yeah, I guess maybe I was scared of it, or I wanted to ignore it, I don't know, but I'm not saying that you'll necessarily feel the same way, because I definitely didn't when I was 16. But I kind of wanted to, you know, pass on my experience as being an individual and being different. And then I met this guy, as I say, and I suddenly didn't feel, you know, I played him some of my songs and he really liked them. And my songs are a bit odd at the best of times. I wrote a song about a stop animation about a blue piece of plasticine and a yellow piece of plasticine. And I made them into a witch and a blue blob, and the song is about this witch who is lonely and turns this blue blob into basically a monster and gets scared, and then a wise owl comes along and says, hey, don't be scared of someone who's different, and then the witch goes to talk to the blue blob and they become friends and get married. And that's a kind of odd story. But I played these songs to him, and he was a professional, or is a professional musician, and he thought they were great, and that gave me so much confidence, you know, to be myself. And I realised I hadn't done that for years, because I'd been, you know, I'd felt I was really odd and different. So I suppose maybe I don't fit into normality. You know, maybe I'm not normal because I write odd songs, and some of the experiences I have are quite weird. But nonetheless, I wanted to post this video response because I thought it might be useful to you. I hope it is, and if it isn't, I hope it's useful to someone. Brocky777. Hello, my name is Robyn and I come from England. I have Asperger's syndrome and I'm 21. I am a student, but I'm also a specialist Asperger's syndrome trainer and mentor. Basically what my job is I go around to different schools, colleges, universities, teacher training colleges, and I teach people about Asperger's syndrome and autism. And the mentoring side of my job is where I work with young people and adults who are having a difficulty in their life, whether it be that they're having a problem with school, or maybe they're trying to get a job, or whatever it is, that they're having a problem managing something, they need some help. And sometimes that help is just to sit down and talk to them on a regular basis. I'm not really sure what you mean by normal. I guess that everybody with Asperger's syndrome, or for that matter any other autistic spectrum disorder, to a certain extent has their own condition. Everybody is different. I tell a story during my training, and the story is called 4 Freds. There were 4 men called Fred, and they applied for an engineering job. The engineering job involved customer facing, so they had to answer the telephone and they had to work on the customer help desk. The first Fred that they interviewed was 50 years old, and he was an alcoholic. He'd been kicked out by his wife 6 months ago, and he was in a mess and didn't want a job at all. The second was 16 and thought he knew absolutely everything. He was fresh out of school and really thought he could go for a far senior position than his knowledge enabled him to. The third was 30 and would be an absolutely brilliant engineer but had no customer facing skills whatsoever. And the fourth was 40 and a perfect candidate. If the engineering company only interviewed the first Fred and said, "Oh, all you other Freds, you're all called Fred, you must be all the same, go away," then they'd miss out on an excellent apprentice, somebody who would be brilliant as an engineer, and they'd miss out on the perfect candidate. And Asperger's syndrome is just like that. But just because you have Asperger's syndrome, it doesn't mean that you'll be like anybody else in the world. And also, I thought I'd pass on some information. You talked about the rocking thing. Well, that is called stimming. And stimming is short for self-stimulation. And basically, some people on the spectrum, and that's anybody from having classic autism, like Ros Blackburn, all the way up to having Asperger's syndrome, sometimes some people feel unable to cope with the world, that there's all these things happening around them that they can't understand or interpret, or they can't do anything about it. So by rocking, that it's a physical movement that means that they can be in control of their environment. So if when you rock, if you rock quite violently, you'll be able to feel the air move around you. And the other thing that you talk about is hypersensitivity, which is some autistic people describe jumping when they hear a noise, or not being able to handle loud noises, or even what most people perceive to be very quiet noises. They're unable to handle those noises, unable to deal with them. And that is hypersensitivity. And basically some people on the spectrum, they are hypersensitive, which means that their volume in their ears is turned up, so the very quietest sounds sound much louder than really they are. And sometimes their perception of colour can be that the colours seem too bright, as if they jump out at them. And sometimes their smell is, like if you go into a freshly painted room, or, in your case, if you were painting a car, and you could smell the paint, and after a while, for most people, that smell would go away, but for some people, it would just continue on for as long as they were in that room, and sometimes sometime afterwards. And that can, obviously cause discomfort, but also, potentially it could make you faint. Also, if you want more information, go to www.Robyn Steward, that's ROBYNSTEWARD, ward.com, and also have a look at www.think-differently.org.uk.